Hey guys, how we doing? How are we doing? Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hang on, let me adjust my chair here. Oh, there we go. Hopefully the audio is all good. Oh, it's nice to be back. It's nice to be back. Feeling a lot better now. I kind of lost my voice for a few days, and that was really frustrating, as you can imagine. And then it was just like the kind of coldy, fluey, sore throat rubbish just stuck around for like the next 10 days. And it was just so irritating because I wanted to get back and stream and get on with stuff. But hey ho, here we go. Hello, Paul. Oh, pop in there. Mike Phelps with the pink specs. Yo, yo. Hello, Mike. Graphic idea, still not me. Joe Hornatan, graphics stalling. Wait for it. Fire. Indeed. So yeah, we're going to be doing a design review today, of course. And Leo White. Hello, Dad. Leo, how are you? What? How have you got an account? Dude, you're like 8. Get off YouTube. Oh, that is so funny. All we need now is my mum. We need to just get my mum on the stream, and we've got the whole family. There we go. Poppy, has Leo got access, full, unadulterated access to the keyboard? Is this a good idea? Honestly, kids, they're cute, and then they start talking, and then they learn words, and then they can write those words, and then, whew, it all kicks off then. Fun and games. Hey, Sema, welcome. Hello. Right, so I've got a bunch of designs that I didn't get to last time, but also I thought it was quite fun last time. We'll open up the floodgates again. I'll post a link, and then oh no, he has, I'm afraid. Oh goodness. All right. Well, apologies in advance for anything my son says. Oh dear. Mike, the kids have infiltrated. Everybody watch their mouths. Goodness. That includes me as well, Mike. No more potty mouth for me. I've got to behave myself. He did say he was going to watch the stream, and I wasn't sure if he was just saying that or not. Yeah, kids watch your mouth as well. Yeah, that's right, Mike. You let's flip it back on them. I'm watching you, Leo. All right, you better behave yourself. I mean, the kids. First, Poppy was on the stream. Then the kids jumped in the stream here the other day at the studio. Now they're watching the stream. I feel like they are trying to take over a little bit. He's been looking forward to your stream all day. Oh, that's sweet. That's tender. That is. I got the feels. What was I saying? Sorry, I got distracted then. So I was just thinking, do I put my son in a timeout, or is that mean? I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. So last time it was quite fun, just taking in designs on the fly. So I think we'll do that again today. Like I said, I've got some that I can kind of start with now, but if I post this link, where are you? Post the right one, Dan. Don't post the wrong link. So if you'd like a chance for your work to be reviewed, there is the link. Go for it, and we'll see if anyone submits anything. Fingers crossed. And yeah, we'll cherry pick some out in a little bit. And ooh, go away, advert. Yeah. In fact, let me just put the link in the description of the stream, actually, if I can figure out how to do this. Submit your work. Link. Save. There we go. So if you want to submit your work, link in the chat, or just refresh the stream, and there you go. Moosh! Hello, Dansky. Hope your day is going well. It is, yeah. It's been one of those days. It's very busy. We've got lots of different things happening all at once, and which is nice, because there's nothing worse than complete and utter boredom. Yes, don't forget to like the broadcast and subscribe. Also, we're going to get in there early with the segue. If you're interested in learning Adobe Illustrator in its entirety, this is my full Adobe Illustrator masterclass. So you get access to the course that will teach you everything I know, even if you're a complete beginner. This will teach you everything I know about Illustrator, and you get access to the community. You can DM me anytime you like. If you have problems, questions about design, whatever it is, basically you get the course and me there to help you. So there's a link, and where else is it? There's a link to 15% off. Come on, Dan. If I was organized, I would have it ready to go, but I'm not. But I will get it for you. 1 second. Okay, let's have a look. There we go. So if you want 15% off the course, you just sign up to my mailing list and you'll receive a code via email. Cool. Right. Let's open up something. Let's get reviewing. Oh, feels like it's been forever. It's 2 weeks too long. Right. Okie dokie. Let's start with this one in the thumbnail. Nice. Mini globe. His course is great, so like and sub or else. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's always a great thing to do, Leo, is threaten your audience as a creator. Yeah. Enroll in this course or else. Goodness me. We've got work to do, kid. Okay, we're going to start with one of my favorite things to do, some photo manipulation. And I like these. I need to do some of these. I think that you call them like micro worlds or something. You can get them kind of at an isometric angle in a square. And it's essentially as if you took a real place and just cut out like a square, or like in this case, like a big dome shaped section of the world. And then you just represent it in like on a colored background or in a space. I really need to have a go at something like this because it's something that I haven't done enough of. I think I started one a while ago and then got distracted, probably by a squirrel or something. But yeah, it's a really cool way to just kind of like capture an environment and have it displayed in this almost, well, in very impossible way. So we've got the ocean down here. We've got what looks like a whale or maybe a basking shark. I'm not sure. My marine biology knowledge is, as you can probably tell, somewhat limited. But yeah, this is really cool. And you can see the rock and the water. I think this is part of the same image. You've got the reflection there. They've gone round the trees. They've done a pretty good job of cutting that out, actually. Not ideal, but Photoshop's select subject, it's definitely gotten better. There's definitely been an update on the back end or something, because the selections that I'm getting from Photoshop now in one click are much better than they were a while ago. They were good before, but now I'm using the pen tool to cut stuff out a lot less. I really am. But okay, critique, right. So I feel like the speedboat has been added. The giveaway here is not so much the lighting, a little bit of the lighting. You'd get some more of the kind of turquoisey color from the surface of the water. Let me get my stylus. Let me see if I can actually do something here. Don't know if I can because it's... Let's see if I can just do this. So what I would do personally is I would... Whoa, not like that. Not like that. Is you might just get like a slight subtle hue along the bottom of the boat. Nothing too strong. And that would be kind of where the reflection of the water is kind of sort of spilling over onto the boat. And this could happen if you've got like let's say like a bottle, a clear bottle or a product or a can, and you stick it in a in a photography set and that set is bright green, or if you're standing against a green screen, part of that green will spill over onto the object or the subject. Like when I stand in front of a green screen, obviously I'm a ginger. You get the green from the screen, even if it's a few feet away, reflect back onto my ginger hair. And then you get it across the glasses. So I'm not sure what you call it, but the sort of the color of the environment will bounce off of things that are in it. So, and considering the material that boats are often made of is quite reflective a lot of the time, you would get a little bit of that kind of coming off there. Also, this is a difficult one. The reflection clearly looks faked because I think what they've done is just let's just do a really shoddy selection of the boat. We'll copy that and we'll flip it vertically. Oops, what have I done? There we go. And unfortunately, this isn't how reflections work because, you know, the reflection should really kind of follow this line. So one thing you can sometimes do, doesn't always work, is actually distort the image. It is a bit kind of, you're sort of fudging it a little bit. Trying to kind of fit it. I don't know if it's going to work here. It depends on the image. Sometimes with a subject wearing shoes, and if their shoes are perfectly flat, you can actually do it very easily. As soon as you get kind of angles and things, it does get a bit more complicated. If you can't fake it properly, what I would do is just add a layer mask. And let me get rid of this one first. Let me just generative fill this one away. And I'll show you how I would kind of do it. I got to get rid of this contextual bar. It just gets in the way everywhere I'm trying to do something. Leo, this is sick, bruh. Everything's bruh now, isn't it? Boa, hello. Bidava, thank you. Oh, is this yours? Oh, wait, no. This is graphic idea. Gingers have souls. They do indeed, contrary to popular belief. It ain't easy being a ginger. Are you a ginger as well? Do we have any gingers in the chat? Okay, well, I didn't expect this to happen. So basically, your generative fill has had a go at doing the reflection for me, and it's not terrible. It's quite subtle. So yeah, maybe actually that's a pretty good way of doing it. If we're not using generative fill, where's the actual reflection? What have I done with it? Ah, yeah, there we go. So if generative fill doesn't work, what I would do is I would just brush in part of it like this. And then you could try a blending mode, which can work. Or sometimes just drop the opacity down. And then just brush away some of those hard edges. Let's go up. Yeah, play around with different blending modes. Maybe that one. It's kind of difficult because generative fill has tried to put in a reflection already. But I think even there, to be honest, the combination of trying to fake a reflection here and the generative fill, I think, you know, it definitely looks more realistic than that. So already, whichever one of those you use, it's a step up. I wasn't expecting generative fill to actually put the reflection in, or at least try. I think the water as well. Some of the water here, I think this top part might be a brush or something. And then they've reflected the brush there as well, which is probably a bit of a no-no. So you don't want the water going down and being reflected. And the reason I think it might be a brush they've used is because here you can see you just got to fade, and that's like a bit of a no-no. I do it sometimes as well, and then I realize that no, this isn't going to work. Like if I get a brush, I don't know if I've got a water brush. You could probably get some good ones on Envato Elements. What brushes do I have? Honestly, Envato Elements have got amazing brushes. Just, they're so good. Vapor, smoke. Same thing with smoke. Same thing with smoke brushes. So I do this quite a lot, and I really shouldn't. So you kind of, let's say you get some smoke, yeah? And then you want to fade that smoke out. It can be very easy sometimes to, rather than use the same smoke brush to fade it out, it can be very easy to just do this, and you see you get this weird sort of hard fade, or you do it like that, and that doesn't look too bad with a smoke brush. But when you because smoke, obviously, kind of the way it works is it will fade and, you know, be more pronounced in certain places. But with water, for example, water like you've got here, it doesn't just fade away. So what I would do is use a slightly harder brush and actually go around the water. So I won't be able to do that here because it's not layered, but I would use a smaller or a harder brush and actually brush around the water, masking it away. Just pretend there's ocean there, and you've got lots of ocean, fill that in. And then because you've got water and it's moving, I would actually select the water brush and, well, let's just add some terrible water. This is all very low res, so it's difficult to fully demonstrate. But if I were to grab that, there we go. We've got some water. It's easier to see when it's high res. I would add a path blur, because what you can do is actually kind of map out the trajectory and actually adjust the speed, and it can help introduce a bit of motion, even if it's really subtle. And the end point as well. So if the water kind of coming off the speedboat is really fast and then it slows down towards the end, you can have that end point speed be really slow, and then the start kind of crank it up. And it can just help introduce a little bit of motion into a scene. Obviously, this just doesn't really work right now because, I mean, even the angle of the water is slightly off. But yeah, if you want to add motion to a scene to kind of really sell it, even with the, I don't know what this is. It looks like a basking shark, I think. You could add a little bit of motion to the tail just to kind of make it seem like it's flapping in the water. Something else I would do, obviously that's a lot of time spent talking about a speedboat, but another thing I would do, the birds look good. Scale is kind of questionable. I think some of these are probably a bit too large, and we've got some white ones in there that I don't think are meant to be in there. But really, really small cluster up here. Yep, that would be good. And also what I would do is I would introduce just some shadows to the bowl as well. And this is something I probably can demonstrate. Grab your curves, adjustment layer, drag it down. And let's get rid of all this rubbish that I've done and focus on that. And let's just get a selection. See if it does it. There we go. Beautiful. And this is really simple as well. Just get a nice soft feathered brush. And we're just going to brush in some shadows. Or this could be one side in particular. And you could even darken this more towards the bottom. That bar's getting in the way, as you can see. So a little bit around the edge there. And it's definitely worth spending a bit of time doing that. We could even maybe do a bit just around here. And all this kind of brushing in, you probably want to make it slightly bluer as well. There we go. Just going around the edge really quick. Not spending too long on this. Could even change the blending mode. Ooh. Yeah, that looks all right. And even if it's a bit strong, you can just dial it back then, just slightly. And you can see it helps create more depth. And it makes it look much more 3D. Just by adding those shadows. And the same for highlights as well. You could add some more pronounced highlights and lighting on this rim here. In fact, what I would do is I would actually, for this one, I would study a glass bowl. So if you've got a glass bowl in the house, look at the rim specifically. You know, do you want this to have a bit more kind of a rounded corner? You know, could you add a bit of lighting here, like a highlight, for example? Other things to just kind of just make it look a bit more, not realistic. That's probably the wrong word because it's not really realistic, but do you know what I mean? If we're saying that this body of water exists within a container, what would that container look like? You know, okay, a glass bowl. Okay, how does glass handle light, for example? And you can add some shadows and highlights in there to kind of make it just to sort of sell the effect a bit more, you know? Oh man, I wish I had some of my early attempts at photo manipulation I could submit. I want to see them. My early attempts at photo manipulation well, I suppose actually no, photo manipulation was one of the first things I ever did at like 17 years old. Doing banners for websites and things. I need to dig some of those out. That would be a fun stream. Add a crab on the rock, but add bluer to it, please. I mean, you could add a crab on the rock, it'd be quite small. Nature doesn't use use clean, even lines and perfect gradients. Add some vines on the rock, like add more nature, it will look great. I'm not trying to anger you, okay? Just add a tiny bit of tasty nature. Did Leo actually write that, Poppy? Who is this kid? Design Dynamo, hello, welcome. I'm very good, thank you. How are you? I would edit selfies so I had glowing vampire eyes. I did similar stuff. I would use a lot of my own sort of photography of myself, like portrait photography. Me and some friends used to take pictures, and then I would kind of go filter crazy with them, and yeah, it was good fun. No, Poppy is a full time mother mother teacher extraordinaire. Yeah, Poppy homeschools our two boys and takes care of the nest. She does like to have an opinion on my graphic work, but that's questionable. I'm gonna get in trouble now. Okay, right. Let's have a look. Let's see if anyone's submitted anything. I think. Da, 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 da. Yeah, Badava, you said you submitted something. I could be a graphic designer. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Got a full brand kit here. All right, we're going to have to open some of these up. Right. Let's have a look. Huh. Oh, that's cool. That is. Ooh, we've got some layers. Oh, nice. Okay. So we've got an illustration here. Karmacraft. Photoshop Carolina. Nice. So if you're in the chat, how did you create this? Was this done by hand or painted in Photoshop? What's the inspiration behind it? As you can tell, I've got questions. No, it's not bad. It's not at all. It's not. It's really cool. So, right. So we've got the glow there. Yeah, this is cool. I actually drew it by hand. So, okay. And did you color it in Photoshop? The coloring, at least to me, looks digitally painted. I might be wrong there. Yeah, I know. That's amazing by hand. Yeah, exactly. Reese, good to see you, man. How's the website coming along? Hopefully not too stressful anyway. Yes, I drew it and colored it in Photoshop. Okay, cool. So drew it by hand. I'm guessing photographed or scanned it in, got it in, and then painted it. Nice. Okay. That's really cool. I love that. So if I were to kind of what's this layer? Let's have a look at that. We've got a color overlay. What are you doing? Ooh, hello. Ah, nice. Got a little signature, 24. Beautiful. Just outside the hand. Subtle. I like that. The signature's on there, but I didn't notice it. So it doesn't like interfere with the design. That's cool. Oh, I see, and you got the line work there. Nice. Yeah, that looks cool. I turned the line work off quite early. One thing I was going to say, if you didn't want the line work and you wanted to try a version that was more sort of realistic without the kind of hard lines, what you could do, and I hope you don't mind me just having a play with this. I can't resist. I can't. Is I would go around with a soft feathered brush and just soften some of the edges. That's probably a bit much. Because in real life, I was going to say reality then, objects like candles and things don't have like a perfectly crisp hard edge. And so you can just this is a tick a tick a trick you can use to kind of make anything look more realistic. If you pen tool a person or an object in Photoshop, the cutout will be perfect, perfectly crisp, and the edge will look unrealistic. So you kind of want, there's a few different ways you can do it, but you want to add just a very subtle bit of softness to the edge, even if you're zooming in really close and going around it, because it will just make it look more realistic, and you can blend subjects with backgrounds, for example, much easier. So like here, I could just kind of go around and just soften that. This is, of course, if you are going for a more realistic look. Obviously, in this design, you've gone for something more stylized with the line work. And there is quicker ways to do this. You don't have to kind of do it manually. But I personally, I use a pen display or a tablet or whatever I'm using. So I kind of like to kind of get my hands dirty, so to speak, and actually kind of do some of the brushwork manually. You're almost kind of, it gives you a chance to sort of sculpt the edge a little bit. And it's a process that I actually really enjoy, even if it's not the most efficient way to kind of do this. Same with the flames as well. In fact, with the flames, another little trick. with this is, how am I going to do this? Let's just convert that, and then we will rasterize. You can use the smudge tool, nice high percentage. Again, a soft brush. That's probably a bit too high. Oops. Let's bring that down. And you can just use this to kind of really just sort of make the flame feel a bit more, I guess, realistic. And the trick with this tool is finding the right strength. Once you find the right strength for what you're using, you're golden. You're away then. And you can use this again to make sure you don't brush into the flame. Although that does look kind of cool, actually. No, forget that. That looks cool. We'll go with that. Great for redrawing hair as well. And again, you're sort of softening and blurring the edge at the same time. But you're also just creating like just a little bit more slightly realistic fire. And you can use brushes as well. In fact, there's a million different ways you can do this. And when you're doing this, vary the brush size as well. You could have some flames coming up there. And again, I like doing this because you really get a hand in it, and you can again sort of sculpt a little bit more. And yeah, you could use a flame brush and just kind of dot in like a few bits of a real flame as well. And something else I would do for the glow is solid color. We're going to go yellowy to match the lighting. You can use linear dodge sometimes if you're blending over a complex image. Yeah, we'll go with that. And then we're going to invert it. And this is a trick that I like to use for mine. You want the hardness at 0, nice big brush. And we're going to do a staggered glow. I probably don't want the brush to be circular because the flame does kind of go up. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to squish the brush in a bit. Obviously, this is the wrong way round. So hold shift and use the left arrow key. We can now rotate the brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start nice and big. Let's go for 10% on the opacity. And then what I'm going to do, just sort of size it roughly to match the flame. Again, rotate it with the arrow keys. And then I'm just going to click once at 10%. That was very subtle. So let's try 20%. Click. You see it? Bring the brush down. Click. Bring the brush down towards the base of the flame where there's going to be more light coming off. Click. Click. Click, and just bring that brush down. We could even do like a really big one at 10%. So you're kind of staggering it, making the brush smaller every single time. And you turn it off and on, and it kind of creates that effect. So the outside part of the glow becomes more subtle, and then towards the center, the nucleus of the glow, I guess you could say, that becomes much more pronounced. And then you can, of course, play around with different blending modes. So we could, yeah, normal kind of knocks out the color of the flame, but we could go for any one of these 5 here are usually pretty good. So it depends entirely what you're going for. Let's go with screen. And then what we could do is then just, obviously it's a perfect oval, so it doesn't match the flame entirely. So you can then go in, and if you want to sort of sculpt the glow a bit more and kind of knock parts of it out, then you can do. I've probably just done that a bit too aggressively there, but yeah, that's a technique that I use to kind of add glow to all of my photo manipulation stuff. Oh, you're welcome, graphic idea. No worries. I'm a live Dansky lol. It's been a few weeks of crazy. I know, man. Every time I talk to you, it sounds like it. Hoping you get a break soon. Do you drink coffee? I was going to say, is it copious amounts of coffee? Website is basically done. Minor tweaks to fix a few issues. Excellent. Nice. I can't wait to see that. It'd be nice when it's live. It's live. It's out there for the world to see. And hopefully you can take a breather. Really like the dripping wax. Yeah, those drips are amazing, and the lighting as well, the kind of highlights and shadows. Um, yeah, they're really cool. Oh, that's an interesting observation. Yeah, drops of blood are flowing as if the candle was made of blood. Yeah, I suppose it does kind of. It does evoke that a little bit. Like you've got the drops of wax here that could be blood, but then you've got the word goodbye written, which clearly looks like it's been. Sounds a bit gruesome, but etched into the skin there, which but same color as the candles, so it does kind of look like they're kind of related. Also, Carolina, what's the inspiration behind the hand? Because those fingers, they look very claw-like, and I'm gonna guess it's a monster of some description, or someone who's really taken sharpening their nails to a fine point to an absolute extreme. So either way, utterly terrifying. Reese, Moose is a hot mess. Took a week off to really just knock it out. Used Wix Studio. After 4 days, made it last minute shift to Show It. Oh yeah, I've not heard of Show It. I'm guessing that's obviously another website builder. Arnett Taylor, hello, welcome. Oh right, I merged one of the layers from this drawing, and thank you so much for this. This is really helpful. No worries, you're welcome. The stuff I do is more kind of probably photo manipulation than just pure art like this. Maybe I should do more of this. But when I'm learning and trying to get better at photo manipulation, um, one of the things that has really helped is learning some of these more artistic techniques with kind of brushwork and the more digital painting skills you've got, the more I think the better photo manipulation stuff that you can create. Like I'm not an artist in the sense of drawing. Like I'm terrible. If you said to me, Dan, draw a person, it would look awful at first. I could probably do something semi decent if you gave me like a week, maybe. Um, but I don't draw a lot. It's just something I don't do. I like the sort of photo manipulation side of it. So, but the more drawing skills you have, the more you can integrate that with photo manipulation. And I guess it's the same the other way actually as well. A lot of the techniques are just demonstrated. That is where bringing something that was traditionally created with pencil and paper and scanned in, once you bring it into Photoshop, it opens up a whole host of possibilities in terms of tools that you can use to add these effects to something. It's cool trying to it's cool kind of mixing the two different mediums. Hey Tom, hello again. This piece name is The Communication, and it's about a talking with demons or monsters. Pretty dark. No, but I like the fact it's got like a story behind it. I love that. It's something that I try to sort of do with my work as well. Is it's just even if it's something people don't notice, you you kind of you put things in the scene and it tells a story whether people realize it or not. Like, have any of you played the Dark Souls games? I don't know if we've got any gamers here, but if you've played Dark Souls, they don't present their story throughout the entire game in your face way. The world is littered with some of the best storytelling in the entire gaming genre, I think. Like, it's brilliant, but they tell you none of it. It's in the world design, in the character design, the details on the armor, the enemy design. There's this incredibly rich, complex story, and none of it is kind of shoved in your face. And I think when you can bring that storytelling into your artwork as well, and add all of these different things in there that are part of a story that you've constructed, it's really cool. And in this example here, Carolina, it kind of demonstrates that you've really thought about this. and it has like a theme as well. There is, I mean, you know, I can look at it and kind of take a different meaning from it, but it's yeah, it's cool. It's cool because it's open to interpretation as well. Oh yeah, you've mentioned Framer before, Mike. Super designer friendly UI and has a CMS side to it. Webflow is good, but much more complex. Oh right, so is Framer simpler than Webflow? Timothy says, "Show us." Is that directed at me? What would you like me to show you? Sorry, I was rambling on a bit then. If you fill a layer with black and set color dodge and then paint colors on that layer, it will create a better glow look. Yes, color dodge can be incredibly useful. Ah, right, brain. Remember, how does color dodge work? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, a good way to practice it is to use gradients, I think. So if I just kind of, if I create a blob, let's grab a soft brush. It works really well with black and white. So if I stamp this in, you can see we've got white in the middle, and then it sort of gradually fades out to transparency. And then if I create a solid color adjustment layer, we'll go with red and clip that to that layer and go color dodge. It doesn't do anything. Oh no, I can't remember how this works. Ah, there we go. Yeah, so if you don't clip it. Oh, how does it work again? It's one of those effects that I just use when I'm doing something and I kind of like the look of it a lot. So I do use it. But there's a way that it fundamentally works with black and white. Oh, I can't remember how it works. Oh, there we go. There we go. This is one way that you can use it. So you don't have to have a bright color like this. Yeah, so if you unclip it, if you go down to here, you can actually use like a very dark color and change the hue of it, but it still keeps the background around almost black. So you can, as you can see, you could use this to create some really cool neon glows. And then if I were to copy this, for example, like copy merged, and then paste that over the design, obviously it covers everything up. But if you change the blend mode to screen, you can create some really nice glow effects like this. And if we switch up the hue saturation, yeah. Yeah, this is a really cool technique. That's probably a little bit excessive. Obviously, we don't want that background, ideally. So maybe we could use levels. No. Okay, so what I would do with the background is I would add a layer mask. And personally, I would just do this. Just brush away a lot of that kind of hard edge. I mean, that's a bit extreme for a candle, but do you see what I mean? Oh, we're not using color dodge anymore. Huh. Yeah, so some blending modes work better than others. I did a tutorial on blending on color dodge and neon for Illustrator. So if you, if you want to learn it, this demonstration didn't quite go according to plan, but there's definitely a video on that. And yeah, it works with black and white and a color. But let's bring that down. Oh, that's nice. Now let's try duplicating that. Yeah, that color dodge is a wee bit punchy. Oh no, it's got that hard edge in as well. Oh dear. Just brush that away. Yeah. But you can use this quite effectively sometimes, maybe not right now, to create some very intense lighting effects. So something I use quite a lot if I want to create something more realistic is I'll have one red and then one I'll make much more yellow. And then I'll try and blend those together. Let's see if I can make that a bit more red. No, it's not really working. Let me try it with a blob instead. I wish I had a flame brush. If I had a flame brush, I could show you. Let's try it with just some solid colors. Let's blend that into that. We'll shrink this down. And then change that one to... Oh, there we go. Yeah. So all we're doing really is we've got a red soft blob, a smaller yellow blob, and then we've got color dodge blending them together. Duplicate again. We'll make it smaller. We could even make that slightly more yellowish. Yeah. And that's what I was trying to demonstrate, is that you can kind of build it up. That's way better, isn't it? That's way better. So then you've got like a sort of really nice glow. Obviously that looks terrible, but then use a blending mode. Anyway, that's enough time spent on candles and lighting. Yeah, it really is. It's absolutely fantastic for adding more vibrancy to glows and things like fire. Like when I've done some Photoshop work before, sometimes I'll use a photo of some fire and then I'll cut around the flames, blend them in, that stuff. Other times I've actually had more luck doing exactly what I just showed you with that blob, but instead using a flame brush. So you stamp in a red flame, duplicate it, you make it yellow, you switch to blending mode, and it blends the yellow flame into the red flame, and you get this really warm, punchy orange. And you can even do it again, and you just it creates realistic fire. If you stamp it in a flame brush in with just one color, it looks flat and terrible. But then when you duplicate it, switch up the hue, and then blend them into each other, that's where you can create the realism. In fact, I've done a tutorial on it somewhere. Let me have a look, see if that's on the channel. Yeah, there we go. Oh, it's not even 2 minutes. There you go. There's me waffling on, and I could just send you a link to this. So yeah, if you're interested in having another kind of tool in your toolkit about how to create realistic fire, again, that could be another way to go. I'm back from the fair. Now I'll watch the stream. Awesome. Kai, welcome back. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to enjoy this. Oh, Leo's back. Welcome back. Okay, right. Let's look at some other stuff. Thank you very much, Carolina, for submitting that. That is awesome. That was a lot of fun. Right. Okay. Oh my goodness, it's nearly 4 o'clock. Design Dynamo. Right, let's open this up. Let's open up a few. We'll try and get through a bunch today. Whoa! Careful on that zoom down. I got cucumber water. I'm not sure about this. I actually can't eat cucumber. I actually cannot swallow a piece of cucumber. There's something about it. I know it's good for you, but it don't agree with me. Okay, what do we got? P for passage. Passage. Okay, so we've got like a kind of one-page brand presentation here. We've got a logo. Okay, so some quick fire thoughts on the logo. Let's get... Well, we'll get red because it's contrasting. But that doesn't mean bad necessarily. Okay, so P for passage. Design Dynamo. If you've got any more context to what this is, what it's for, what the brand is it a real project? Is it not? Phil, you sneaky cucumber. Feel free to just let me and everyone else know in the chat. Hi from a 3D artist who loves your tutorials. Hello. Oh, amazing. I'm glad they're helpful. Why on earth did you get cucumber water? You hate cucumber. It was the only sparkling water they had left at the garage. I know. It wasn't my first choice. I would have gone for lemon or mango, but, you know, here we are. So, yeah. Hopefully we'll get some more context. It's a fictional project that I worked on. Excellent. Okay. So, I'm his #1 fan. Okay, so, yeah. To me, we care for you. It looks like some kind of delivery service. There's an app. But feel free to correct me if that's wrong. But I'm just going to kind of critique what I see. So I feel like with the P here, and this is something you've got to be careful of, is when you're producing a logo, if you're going to produce like a custom-made stylized P, you sometimes do get this issue where having a very heavily stylized custom-drawn P looks fine, but then you've got the rest of the letters and they're in a typeface. And when there's a kind of a bit of a mix of the two, it doesn't always necessarily work. I think for this to work, you probably needed to pick a font that is slightly different and perhaps not italicized. So, let me think. What is a kind of font? Archisans, maybe? No. There's a font I'm thinking of. Archiform? Yeah. Something like this. Because it has a lot of similar characteristics of the P. So the P in this font here, you can see it would have that little kind of, that's obviously a G, but the P would have the same little extension there. I forget what that's called. Typography people, you can let me know. But in this font, you can see here that the P is actually, albeit not as bold, it mirrors a lot of those characteristics. So what I would do personally is, does this have an extra weight? No bold. All right, okay, we'll fudge it in Photoshop. We'll add a stroke. We'll chunk it up. There we go. A cheaty way of creating it. But you can see the P already is quite similar to what we've got here. In fact, let's change that to that. How am I going to do that? Okay. I'm just trying to think how I'm going to do this. Right, let's isolate the P so it's on its own. There we go. Lovely. Now we'll change the P to that color. Perfect. You could chunk it up a bit more. I'm not going to mess around with that now. This is just to really kind of illustrate a point. And you can see that the P now does fit with all the other letters. So then now what I could do is I could go in here. And this is obviously going to be very rough and slightly terrible, so don't judge me. But you got the little flick kind of coming out the back there. There we go. That's as round as it's going to get. Just pretend it's smooth. And then obviously we got the green down the bottom. Oh, this is going to be awful as well. Okay. They call me Steady Hand Dan. Not. It's perfect. I don't know what you're talking about. So do you see what I mean though? And like you can kind of the P and the ASIJ, they kind of fit together a bit more. So it doesn't need to necessarily be a letter from that typeface, but I think the styling of the P and the ASIJ need to kind of at least be similar in the same vein. Now what you can do is you could use shadows. The problem is when you get to a black and white print, which a lot of companies do because it's cheaper, uh, you're going to get a problem. And I always kind of say the best logos work or can work in solid black and white. Okay, it's something that's, you know, important, I think. So, you know, yeah, you could have this work in grayscale, but it's kind of like when it's just black and white. Oops. You know, how's that shadow going to work? In fact, let's just say we're not even using gray. We're going with a solid black on white print, which, like I say, a lot of companies do because it can be cheaper to print. Does the logo design depend on that shadow to kind of create that illusion of depth? And so what I would do personally, if you wanted to still keep that, let's merge these together. You can do something that I can't remember what it's called. It's like, what is it? Trump delay. Someone please correct me. Trumpolay. It's a weird phrase. And what you can do is basically where you kind of chop out details. You chop out bits of the letters and create negative space to actually enhance the details. So, you know, rather than having a shadow to kind of show that the top runs over the bottom, you might not that. And this might take a bit of practice to kind of figure out exactly how it goes, but you see what I mean? You can kind of chop certain little details out to kind of give it that sort of cutaway look. And maybe not here. You know, this is just, you might realize, oh, I've just put it in the wrong place. Or maybe the style just needs to kind of be similar to the other one. Might take a bit of practice to kind of get the shapes in the right place. Maybe not that. But yeah, you can add cuts in a few key places. Or actually, instead of doing that, let's we could just separate this in its entirety. Let's put that back in for a second. And we'll break it apart again. So I quite like the cutaway tip if you can do it, because it adds kind of details. Or you could do something like that. Do you know what I mean? And then that would work as a solid black and white print, but you still kind of make it look like one bit is going over the other. I mean, there it kind of looks like it's actually going through it rather than over it, but that's why I was kind of experimenting with those angles, because you can cut things in a certain way where it can look like it's actually going over. It's like a bit of like an illusion. It's like a trompe l'oeil, something like that. Yeah, Foa put it, trompe l'oeil. Probably pronounced that terribly. And it's a very sort of clever technique that you can type it into Google. And yeah, have a look and see what you think. But it can be a very useful technique. So that's what I would do with that. I would kind of work on this and keep the other lettering similar. So then it can work as a whole logo, but it also then has its icon that can stand alone. If this is a delivery service of some sort, you know, you've got the flow here, which kind of represents the delivery, I guess, and you've got this, which could represent arriving at the destination, perhaps. That's just a guess. Again, here, this is a good example. Works as an app logo. But again, how does that shadow work on a one color print? That's what I would work on. Trying to tweak that design without being dependent on the shadow. Business card mock-up. I can't speak today. Take a breath, Dan. Speak slowly. So yeah, the business card mock-up, I think it needs to be brighter. So just brighten that up. A quick win for that is brightness and contrast. Whoosh. There you go. Makes a massive difference. And perhaps, yeah, I'd probably just show 2 personally. Or at least have one kind of showing some details. So you've got the front and the back of a business card. This is really cool. I like this mock-up. And you've got the shadows on the floor, which is really cool as well. Nice. Yep. That looks a bit stretched, but that might just be me. But I like the hat mock-up and the bag mock-up. We care for you. Yeah, cool. Really cool. So that'd be the main thing, is just making the logo, designing the logo so it isn't dependent on the shadow. Few tweaks to the business card mock-up, and then the other lettering in the logo, just kind of, there needs to be a bit more synergy between the mark and the text being used as well, so it kind of fits together and as one, but can also be separated. Cool. Thank you very much, Design Dynamo. Oops. I have to go, but I'll be watching this excellent broadcast later. I'll see you later, Sema. And if you come back and you're watching this later, oh, hello again. Oh, you are keen on the old emojis, aren't you, Leo? Logo. This is my kid logo. How can I submit my work? If there should be a link in the stream description. Oh no. Tomorrow's my final art exam and my teacher will check my math, which I have done, which I haven't done. Oh no. Yeah, good luck. I mean, I'm flattered that you would rather watch the stream than do the maths work for the exam. Yeah, that's a good point, Annette. You could have added purple to the rest of the lettering and have it as a one color. That's another option as well. Leo. Leo's like, bye, Sean. Who's Sean? You're welcome. You're welcome. Hopefully that was helpful. Right, let's do some more. Let's do some more. Where's yours, Kai? Kai. Ooh, logo. Okay, we have a logo. Swift car photography company looking to update logo to work better on embroidered and printed apparel. Client gave me this S they wanted to use in the logo. I haven't got that font. Let's have a look. What is it? Gimbal extended regular. Gimbal extended regular. Let's see if I can quickly get that one. Whoa! Let's have a look at the. Let me just show you what I'm looking at. That's quite the G on that. What is going on? What's that S look like? Right. Okay. So that's the S. Okay. Oof. That is. It's an interesting. I mean, I'm guessing, yeah, but was that some sort of inspiration? So they wanted that kind of shape. One more added to the red and white. I like the gradient idea for the W, but the solid grey works better on a lot of media. Yeah, so this is okay, I'm glad we've opened this one up actually, because it kind of follows on, very similar to the last one. But this one is somewhat different because let's just make that a bit bigger. So we got the you do have the logo here. It adds a really nice kind of bit of depth to it. But the difference with this one is that if we were to throw that in one color, the design does still work. So this is still good for a single color print. You lose a little bit of the kind of, you know, the bells and whistles that make that effect look cool, but it still works. It doesn't affect the legibility or the ability to kind of see what the logo is. This one is much more I guess typographically led, whereas the other one had kind of part of what the brand was with that sort of swoosh integrated into the P, and that was kind of, at least in my opinion, integral to that design working, whereas this still looks cool with it just in a solid color print. And you know, you've got Swift, you've got the kind of angles here on the S and the F and the T, which kind of denotes like a bit more movement as well. I've done a logo that's similar. I did it years ago for a company called Pronto, and I did something very, very similar. You had like a normal kind of caps sans serif typeface, but then the parts of the letters were angled, and there were like a few kind of lines to indicate movement. So pronto, swift, quick. So there's different ways that you can indicate movement without just having to use like an italicized typeface. Sorry, an italicized font. But yeah, I mean, I think you could go with either of these. I mean, personally, I don't think the gray is really. You might want to run that through a color accessibility doodah, the gray and the red. I think they're probably not going to work too well together. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, I like it. Let's try and critique it though. So yeah, this S. I mean, I don't know if you're still in the chat, Kai, but if you are or you're watching this later, was this the original S, and then you kind of modified that design, or is this the S exactly as it was? I can't remember. I had it up a minute ago. Hello. Yeah, so is that the S exactly as it is, as it comes from the font, or have you kind of customized it? I should have kept the link up, really. Yeah. So this is just like an initial observation is, and I did this on a logo a little while ago, actually. You've got the S and the W connected, the F and the T connected, but then the I isn't connected to anything. What do you guys think? Is that an issue that some letters are connected and some aren't? I've had this a few times with stuff I've worked on, and I don't know if there's like a definitive answer. Like there isn't like a universal answer, I don't think. Something I have tried though is connecting the other ones, but that doesn't look like that doesn't really look like anything. So I don't know. Maybe then you could have this. So the whole thing still feels connected, but the I is still clearly an I. Do you know what I mean? Okay, Fur says, I mean, it's not bothering me at first glance. The curve and weight is the same. Yeah, I played around with the connecting I different ways, but it never looked right to me. I know. Maybe it's not an issue. Maybe it's just me kind of making something out of nothing. But that's that. Yeah, that. Okay, you obviously tried that. I mean, even maybe something like that. I don't know. Maybe it's not really an issue, but it's something that I've definitely been aware of when I think, yeah, the most recent example was when I was doing the Dansky signature, and some letters were connected and others weren't, and then in the end I think we connected all of them, if I remember rightly. I think I had the same with Pop. Yeah, I had the same thing with Poppy's travel logo. If you joined that stream, certain letters were connected and other ones weren't. And I think the more I looked at it, it was like, should they all be connected or all disconnected. I don't know. Maybe it'd be good to look at some other logos of like bigger, more well-known brands that kind of do that and see if that's something they do, perhaps. Yeah, the only thing that's standing out to me, well, I mean, obviously it's not the only thing, but something that's standing out to me as well is the width of all of these letters is so perfectly consistent. And then the width on this is kind of, it changes. So there's kind of, this is all the same width, and then these parts are wider. And I know technically sometimes that's typographically correct, but personally I would at least try mocking it up where all of this is just one width. So if you were to kind of pen tool around this, see that I'm doing this terribly. Oh. Obviously, please do a much better job than this. Let's just see how it looks. If I can just kind of at least fudge something. Knife tool, where are you? Swing. Obviously, smooth out those curves. They look awful. And the width is a bit too chunky. But do you see what I mean? I would just be curious to see how it looks with it all as one width. Even if that might break some typographic rules. I think because everything else is just the same width throughout, probably because of the letters that that are being used. There's part of my brain that just wants everything to be the same width. Do you know what I mean? That might just be me though. Yeah, angle those new pieces and it'll have the same motion effect. Oh, I see what you mean, Mike. Did you mean that kind of, yeah, so if I were to connect. Whoa. Something like that. A bit of anglage. I mean, you could do something. You could do something like this. Which could be a cool way to connect it. I don't know. I'm just playing. I tried some iterations with capital I using the lines top and bottom. Tried angling the eye. He wasn't happy with any of them. It just wasn't meant to be. And that's because I used the original S. Yeah. Yeah, PDF's fine on that. Go for it. That's probably what I would do personally. Is I would draw the S. Obviously, do a better job than that. Just because for me personally, like all the other letters are just the same. They have that consistent width all the way through, and I would want that in the S. But yeah, I like it. It's a very kind of versatile logo. It would work in many different scenarios. Only 5 letters. It would fit into a website header pretty nicely. I guess the S is distinctive enough that you could pull that out and use that for an app icon. Or maybe even use the W because it's got that kind of shading effect. I mean, something else you could explore, you might have already done this, is use the shading effect on all the letters. So kind of, yeah. You could have the shading kind of come around here. Maybe on the F as well, or the T. I don't know. But it would definitely work in a variety of different situations with the gradient and with the solid color as well. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful, Kai. There we go. That wasn't too bad, was it? Derek says I like the variety of the width in the original S. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know. I mean, sometimes you do get these typographic rules, but then I don't know. Sometimes it's like you can get away with bending them a little bit, I think. The second line on the F is slightly thinner. Don't know about whatever typography rules, but when that second line on the F was the same weight, it looked weird to me. Okay. Okay, I didn't notice that. Let's have a look. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would have kept it the same width, but I guess, each to their own. Sometimes, we look at something and I think you just have to trust your instincts. If you look at something and it just doesn't feel right, then, I mean, 9 times out of 10, when I get that, I run with it. So, and I think we're always going to perceive things differently. So, but I didn't even notice. So, if it's something that you're perceiving and you think it looks right, then hey, go for it. Not too bad at all, thanks. That's helpful. Oh, good. As long as it's helpful. Maybe you'll cut me some slack now when I forget to use the reflect tool. Yes, it's a real company. Oh, cool. Nice. Right, let's do some more. Let's do some more. Okay, let's open up a few. We'll do some quick fire ones because I want to try and get through a bunch. What's that? Is that a business card, front and back? I think. Oh, we've got a few. Right, let's open these. We'll open up a few and then try and get through as much as we can. Okay, so we've got Gabrielle Union, CEO and manager. I'm guessing that's two different designs for the same thing. Okay, I don't know if I'm being... Am I being really dumb? Is this the name here? Gabrielle Union, CEO and manager. Jawahar Nagar Colony. What's this bit here? Is that like a location? Because the company name here is Synthronics. But what's this bit here? Is that like referring to a specific subsection of the company? It's the address. Okay, right. Cool. I mean, I like this little tag actually. So there's so many times business cards. They and I do this as well when I've done them before. You just kind of write the name of the job title in a font, and it's usually smaller than the name. I quite like it encased in the little button style. It's quite nice. It sort of feels a bit UI design actually. QR code in the corner. Yeah, nice little. We've got these shapes as kind of a bit of a watermark in the background. Do you need them? I mean, I suppose actually no, they do relate quite nicely to the front here. So they kind of make sense. We've got a very clear color palette of grays, kind of the sort of cyany color and the orange. Yeah, I like it. Looks good. Okay, right. If I were to critique things, let's get the old red out. Actually, no. Let's go with pink. We'll go with nice pink, nice friendly pink, not horrible red. So when I'm doing business cards, I might have mentioned this before. I like to try and line everything up. One way I do that is with margins. So you can see here the QR code is pretty much the same distance all round. Oh, what happened there? Come on. Come on, Dan. Whoa, where are we going? There we go. So this is just how I work. I define these margins. I have a clear kind of margin around the edge. And then it just means I can kind of line everything up nicely. Spacing between these three, yeah, you could bring them a bit closer together. Personally, I would bring them because, you know, it's going to be quite small as a business card. You know, it is going to be quite small. Personally, I would just bring them a little bit closer together, and then that will enable you to make them slightly bigger, just to make them a tiny bit more legible. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, blah. Excuse me. Okay, and we're back. The name, I would bring the lines slightly closer together. The spacing between lines in design is called leading. So I would reduce the leading and just bring these slightly closer together. Also make them a bit smaller. I know we love our own name, but it doesn't need to shout out this much. I know it's a lovely name, but let's bring that down a pinch and then make the contact information just a pinch bigger. CEO and manager job title. Yeah, you could make that bigger. I think what I would do personally is, like, if you can streamline fonts and their styles and their sizes across a design and still kind of keep the essence and the creativity of the design, then it's something that I would do. So what I mean by that is, let's just say that this this font here is 12 points in size. If you can get this CEO and manager text to look good at the same 12-point size, and it kind of works within the design and the hierarchy feels good and all this kind of stuff, keep them consistent if you can. There's no point kind of having like a 12-point, a 13-point, and then one's slightly bolder or one's like, do you know what I mean? Like you could get like, you could have 3 different sizes on a business card and I think it'd be fine. But generally that's what I try to do. I try to consolidate different font styles where I can and then use additional ones only where I need to. Otherwise, as you've probably seen on some of the other designs I've reviewed, you end up with like 7 or 8, 9 fonts sometimes. You've got bold, slightly more bold, super bold, italic, capitals, lowercase, and it just it causes everything to kind of become a bit of a mess. And if you can consolidate those 8 styles into like 3 or 4, you're golden. Also spacing. If you're going to have this in the container, it's too close to that top edge, and too close to the left edge as well. So just shuffle that to the right, maybe give it a bit more space above, and just make sure that the CEO and manager text does sit centrally within that space. I don't mind it kind of floating to the right of the name. The problem you might have is if you've got other people in the company and they have a really long job title, like resident data analyst specialist manager, and then they've got a really long name like you know, Jonathan McWigglebottom, and they've got that really long job title. Is that format going to work for every name? Probably not. So that's Jonathan McWigglebottom. I don't know where that came from. I've never known someone with the surname McWigglebottom. But yeah, so when you're designing business cards for a company, and especially if there's lots of employees, you've got to try and design it in a way that it caters for you want to almost design it with the longest name and the longest job title. If you can get it looking good for that, and then design it with a very short name and a short job title, so you kind of cover either ends of the spectrum, and then you've got everything in between, you're good. Derek says top line to line up with the top of the QR code. Oh, top line. I see what you're saying. Is that here? Yeah, that's a good point. So the top of this. Whoa. Straight lines, please, Dan. Yeah. So wherever that line, if you're going to push them together, great. But wherever that top line lines up, just bring your QR code up. Again, it just kind of, that's just the way I design. Like I like to try and, I've said this before, build relationships between things. So if I can line things up and still keep the design essence and the creativity, and it doesn't like impact that, then I'll try and line things up. It just kind of helps everything just feel a bit more structured, you know? And this bit here, this is it's a nitpick, but it's something that I got to mention it because I would do it, is keep this width all the way around here consistent. So just make sure that width all the way around, you can see it's quite tight here, and then a bit more spacious on the left edge there. So all I would do is just, yeah, maybe bring the size down of the picture and then just nudge it a bit to the left so you have a consistent width. Yeah. I mean, and then this, I mean, the logo is the logo. Central, nice. Yeah, I like the reverse. And that could look quite nice, especially if it was printed on like a, you know, like a satin or a gloss finish. Everything would look quite sort of shiny and nice. Again, another minor nitpick. I would just take that grey square and just move it out here into that space, just so it's kind of not obstructing any of the logo. It's a real nitpick, but it's just interfering with that E a little bit. So if I was to get really granular with it, I would just move that shape out away from it or just get rid of it entirely. Poppy says, I like those colors. Daddy, I liked and subscribed to you. Thank you, son. Congratulations, Leo. You can have dinner tonight. We'll feed you. That is my real name. Rabbim at Wigglebottom. Yeah, I think I focused on the other one. I think I prefer the other one to this one, if I'm honest. Yeah. So the name here is a bit smaller, but then it doesn't have the cool treatment. I kind of like this treatment, so yeah, maybe maybe an easy way to cater for the name thing could be to get the text smaller and get the name on one line, perhaps. And then you could have the CEO and the manager that could shuffle over, and then you've got plenty of space to cater for a longer name as well. But yeah, thank you very much for submitting those. Amazing. Right. Next up. Ooh. Spider-Man. Bidava, I think this is you. Interesting. Okay. Right. You're going to have to explain to me exactly what I'm looking at here. Oh, right. So this is the Nepali version of Spider-Man. What's he holding? Is this kind of web slinging? Oh, well, thank you for joining, Leo. I've just liked a bunch of your videos, and I've got to go to Cubs now. So bye, everyone. See you later, Leo. Are you doing a design review next week? I have a branding project in the works, but need to work on color applications before I unleash it. Yes, hopefully, Mike. I know I've been off for 2 weeks, but you know, with all the being poorly or whatever. But yeah, I would like to get back to like the regular kind of streams on the Tuesday and the Thursday. It's nice having that sort of routine. So yes, unless anything catastrophic happens, then yeah, we'll be doing a stream next Tuesday as well. But yeah, I would love to see that, Mike. So yeah, if you manage to get it done in time and you get all the color applications done, yeah, please do submit it, and we'll check it out. That'll be cool. Bye, Daddy. Oh, bless. Oh, the feels. Farah, I'm new here and learnt a lot of good and cool stuff, especially the logo tips. They helped a lot. Thanks, brother. You're welcome. That's amazing that the videos are really helpful. It's a Spider-Man swinging in the local streets. Okay, so he's got some sort of hat on here. Is that like if I'm gonna guess, and I might be wrong here, I'm guessing that's perhaps something that's native to Nepal? I don't know. Yeah, so the biggest thing that's standing out to me here is the shadows. And the reason that I'm acutely aware of this is because if you joined the stream on Friday, which is definitely worth a look, I was working on a design where I did the shadows just like this. In fact, I got to whip it up. Let me get it up. This is going to be especially useful, I think, because I made this. I did this a few days ago. So rather than kind of me waffle on, I'll try and sort of illustrate it this way. So when you've got like you've got like a light source that's behind, right? Very bright light source, and so you want to have the subject facing the camera is going to be much darker, and then you're going to have the light and the rim light and these glows coming from the edge. But sometimes if you do it, either you rush it or you do it with the incorrect technique, you end up just with these sort of very, very heavy dark black areas, and it doesn't look realistic. You can see you've got the sort of the black, and then you got black, but then you got kind of some inconsistent highlights here, and then this leg is much brighter, and you end up with these kind of getting these patches of darkness. And I did this the other day, so I tried rushing the kind of lighting on this, and as you can see, if I just even brighten the whole thing up so it makes it easier. Yeah, you can see I've just got these patches here where it's just kind of dark and they just look like these blobs of dark area rather than doing it properly. And I think what it comes down to is trying to gradually build up shadows in the right places. So you have to think about where your light source is. So in this example here, I've got one light here. That's going to cast shadows on the subject, but I've also got one over here. Which areas of the subject, if I'm thinking about this in like a 3D way, within three-dimensional space, where are the shadows going to be? And I work on those first before the highlights. So you can see it's just ended up being way too dark. I just brushed in these big blobs of shadow. And actually, when I go to this one, even if I get rid of can I turn off the zombie effects? Don't know if I can. It's probably quite sort of. Oh, actually, no, hang on. If I go in here, I think all the gore is. There we go. We're getting there. And skin. Hey, there we go. Oh, I think I brushed that directly on the image. I'm an idiot. Oh, I did. No, it's permanent. But yeah. Yeah, so on this example here, you can see that I've spent much more time brushing the shadows in. If I just let's just throw this into the camera raw filter, because for some reason I always seem to design too dark, and then I brighten it up in camera raw. I need to work on that. Yeah, so you can see the difference. Here we've just got like lots of black blobs. This was done much more slowly, so particularly around the shoulder blades. So rather than just brushing in black here everywhere, because yes, all the shoulders in the dark, actually it was about carefully brushing in the dark here and then leaving like a bit of light there, but then having a bit of shadow here. Again, here, brushing in some shadow there, brushing in some shadow there, and then that helps kind of create that definition of the shoulder blade. Same again down here. The light is coming from here, so you're going to get that highlight there. But actually, all of this part of the arm, this is in shadow, so I'm brushing in that shadow there. And that just helps create depth as well. You've got the shadow, the dark, you've got the midtones, and then you've got the highlights here. And that's what just can help really kind of sell that depth. Yeah. Same down here. You've got lots and lots of black, no lights hitting this bit. But then you've got these details where the light from the left, it's just kind of hitting that side of the dress. And it really, particularly with this image where the kind of her back is exposed and you've got muscles and you kind of want to brush the shadows around those muscles, which then help accentuate that definition. Whereas before, when I just brushed in with black, I think you could probably see, I just brushed in black everywhere with a curves adjustment layer, and I brushed out all the detail and it made everything look flat. Same as on the face. I was just like, oh yeah, we'll just brush in loads of curves. There we go. Leave the right side of the face open. And you end up with one big shadow and it destroys all the contouring of the face. And it doesn't look realistic. Whereas in this one, you can see that I was a lot smarter about it. We kind of brushed in shadow here, a bit of shadow cast by the hair and up here. Then we have some more midtones here. Midtones around here, a little bit of shadowing on the nose, a bit of shadowing on the chin, a bit of shadowing up here as well, just around the hairline. Then we've got the highlights. And so you can see that, obviously I've just completely graffitied that, but on the face here, flat black wash, no contouring, lots more contouring. And it makes a massive, massive difference. In fact, I'd say it is like one of the things that is a deal breaker. And it, you know, it was from going through this process of working on this and doing the kind of lighting in this kind of, you know, more blobby, blocky way that made everything look flat, and going, well, this looks terrible. It doesn't work. And then kind of going into spending much more time thinking about, okay, where's the light going to hit? How is this going to impact the subject? And use reference images as well. Find other reference images where the subject is has a more skin exposed, back, arms, shoulders, face, and you can see how the skin reacts to the light specifically, skin versus clothing or metal or whatever. But also you can kind of see how rim light and hair light looks as well, and how light can spill over onto the face and the cheeks. I don't use reference images enough, but when you have a reference image, it makes things so much easier. So hopefully that's helpful anyway. I had to show you that because that was something a mistake that I saw you'd made there with the shadowing. And you know, if you want to add shadows to your design, the quickest way that I've fallen in love with this technique, there's levels, exposure. I used them both. This is one I've fallen in love with. Curves, drag that down. On the right side, you just drag it down. That's it. Now, obviously, I've got to make a selection of the subject. So let's add that into the adjustment layer. So you can see there. And then what I'm going to do is I've kind of done this backwards, actually. Hang on, let's do this a different way. Yeah, select subject and mask. There we go. We'll clip that to that layer. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's do that. So now I should, there we go, be able to brush in some shadows. So I could drop down my flow and then just start to brush in some shadows down here, particularly around the edge. And you can see by adding this sort of contouring, it helps with the lighting and make it look more realistic. Here, the lighting is pretty kind of flat across the whole thing. But by adding these shadows, we're sort of creating a bit more depth. Obviously, this is kind of fully blacked out now, so I can't really do a lot with that. But you see here, I'm just brushing around and creating some contouring on the feet. You see the difference that makes? And the great thing about this is, even if you turn it on and think, oh, that's too dark, it's too dark, you just adjust it. It's an adjustment layer. So we've got full control over that, and you can kind of find where the balance is. So then you brush some up there. This is why it's great if you have an image where the lighting is kind of flat, because if you don't have very specific lighting coming from a certain direction, you can then add the lighting yourself almost. Go around here. Yeah, so I'm just kind of just doing this to demonstrate. On the hat as well, you know, I could go around the bottom, kind of use those shadows to sort of accentuate the edge and add folds. Same here, I could just this little dip in the hat. And then that's just the shadows. You can do the same for highlights as well and use that to create some really dramatic highlights. And with the web slinging here, I'd probably draw the web slinging actually. You could use those as a basis. There's a technique I use that I end up doing a lot of zombie things. This is a good technique for drool. And when I say drool, I mean like dribble. Okay. We'll go for 3%. It might take a while, but you could use this to do draw the kind of webby effect quite nicely. Very small brush, low flow, and then you can, I don't know, maybe a little bit more. Depends how dark the background is. But let me just show you. I can draw web between Spider-Man's shoulder and his knee, and you can just, that's too thick. We'll do it a bit more pronounced. So just literally just vary the width, and you can draw web. That's it. Keep mixing up the width, and then just random. And you can do this freehand as well. And you know, you almost want to do it freehand because it will look more realistic. And I'm just rushing this really quickly, but do you get the idea? So it'd take a little while, and you'd need to kind of sculpt it by hand. And of course, once you've done that on a separate layer, you can then drop down the opacity, and if you want to make it more or less pronounced. Because you've got quite a light background, I'd do it quite heavy on the opacity, because you can dial it back. If you don't do it pronounced enough and it's too faint, just duplicate the layer, merge them together, and then it will kind of beef up the white, the color of it, and then you can just drop that down a bit. But yeah, so that's what I would do. And I would use a reference. I would pause a Spider-Man movie and see how the web looked, and then use that as a basis to kind of draw your own web. Yeah, because I think he's the focal point. There's lots of other little kind of tiny details, but that is the main one, is the shadowing and the lighting and the web. Hopefully that's helpful anyway. Hey, a lock. Forearm spill of blood would have been lighter. Yes, possibly. Lighting's something that I've definitely made a very concerted effort recently to practice more. It's tough. It's quite tough, especially if you want to light your subject from behind, but the actual photo of the subject is lit from the front. You have to try and flip the lighting around the other way. If you've got an image where the lighting is behind, and you have like a room, for example, with a window and the light's coming through, if you pick an image of a subject that is lit from the behind, it makes your life 1,000 times easier. Or if you're going to be photographing a subject, you can set up the lighting knowing where they're going to be in the scene. But sometimes, like with the zombie one I showed you, it just doesn't work like that. You know, the lighting in the room and the subject doesn't work. It's a mismatch, and you have to very carefully like correct the lighting as best you can. Okay, let's open up this one. Illustrator file. Obadan, I believe this is yours. Aki? Oh, I'm just going to get some food soon, I think. Oh, yuck. That cucumber water is weird. That is weird. Anyway, hopefully you're enjoying the stream. Hopefully this is helpful. Me waffling on to camera. Hopefully it's helpful anyway. Yeah, references are great. I don't use reference images anywhere nearly enough. Oh. Okay, let's have a look. We'll start top left. We have lots of artboards. In fact, actually, we can scrub through our artboards here. All right, there we go. Aki, I have no idea how to pronounce that because it's got the accents. Asike. I'm gonna go with that. The logo being small is nice. I'd probably make that a bit bigger if that's the project. I'd probably bump that size up a bit. Oh, can I do that? Yeah, I'll probably just a bit. Do you know what I mean? Just so it's kind of bigger than the designer or the agency, personally. Okay. I feel like some text needs to be there. I feel like there needs to be some context. Like I don't know, eat the way you love, or love the way you eat, or love your body, or some kind of tagline or something to support the images. Nice images though. I'm kind of hungry now. Ah, okay. So I like this, but I think this one needs more context. So I'm guessing this is kind of the berries, the swirl, and the A, and how it was all combined. I think maybe just a one-line description of each element, and then, or even having a plus icon in between each image to show that it's blueberries plus swirl plus A equals. Do you know what I mean? I think that would help give just a bit more context, because I know this probably makes sense to you having worked on it, but for me coming in completely fresh, I'm having to think about, okay, what am I looking at here? Do you know what I mean? And I think just by adding a few kind of subtle cues, just to make it easy for someone coming in completely cold, just it kind of, you know, it answers those initial questions they might have. Okay, so we've got a sketch to well, what looks to be like a sketch or some sort of digital sketch through a vector. Okay. Okay, I see where you're going with this. Nice. So let's go back a few pages. I think this page here, this, maybe this. Maybe not the final one. I think at least this, and this. Those three pages, those three screens, they could be one artboard. Almost like an artboard of ideas. And I think that reduces the number of pages in artboards, but we're also just kind of, even if there were other ideas, similar ideas, sketches, showing it like a page of your working. Do you know what I mean? If you've got like a sketchbook or whatever, or just a whole load of sketches, it kind of shows that thought process a bit more. Yeah, and I feel like they could all sit on one artboard. this one, so this one here and that one, they could maybe sit on the same artboard as well. You could even have that design with the guides laid over it. Perhaps the guides in grey dashed lines or something. I think. Okay, so I don't know what's on the pages coming up, but it's so. I don't. Maybe I'm misunderstanding this, but it feels like the circles have been added without an understanding of why they're added. Does that make sense? Let me just go to the next one to check I'm not. Yeah, because typically, like the circles, you'd add them to show. Do you know, like the design would mirror the circles, if that makes sense? Whereas here, there's circles that have been added around the form, but the actual shape of the A does not match the circles. Do you know what I mean? Like typically, normally you would use the circles and the basic shapes, and I do this all the time, to actually craft the logo, and the logo would be reflected in those forms. Yeah, like here, for example, this is a good example. So, you know, you'd have two circles, you'd select them, you'd maintain the middle, boom, there you go. You've got a perfect leaf shape for your eye. But the eye we've actually got here doesn't mirror the guides that are around it. Does that make sense? Same again here. We've got this kind of showing a very specific angle, almost like demonstrating a mathematical precision, but it doesn't match the actual logo, you know? I removed the text in Portuguese in the presentation. I inserted the text. Okay, right, cool. So there was text, but you removed it because it was Portuguese. Okay. The circles have the same proportion, and I fitted the typography, keeping the shape of the circle. Yeah, so I think what I would probably do personally is I would I mean, I generally will use a lot of geometry in my designs. I don't do a lot of stuff by hand with the pen tool, for example. I always try to use, I use circles a lot to kind of sculpt my design. So that's how I would kind of do that circle there. Same for, oops. Same for this part of the A. You know, I would, there we go. And I get a perfectly smooth edge. That's why I don't use the pen tool, unless I really have to. You know, I do use it. I just try to avoid it. And then I might connect those. And you can golden ratio this if that's what you're into, but you don't necessarily have to. It's not something that I kind of live or die by. Do you see what I mean? So I'm actually kind of using the circles, and they're essentially, I'm kind of forming the shapes just using circles. I mean, and the shape of this logo, it lends itself very well to using circles and that, because there are lots of curves, like especially this one as well, you know. And that's how you're going to get that geometric precision, is from using those sort of techniques. So here the width is a lot larger, and it's large there, but then it's kind of tighter here. Not by a lot, but you know, at least that's kind of what, if you've joined any of these streams before, that's the kind of thing I pick up on, is I focus on the real kind of the granular detail, you know. I used Circle to help me with the organization and composition of the shapes, and drew each letter by hand. Okay, so it is okay. Yeah, so if it's meant to have like a more sort of organic hand-drawn feel, less precise, that's cool. I get it. I wouldn't represent it with precision lines, if that makes sense. Normally kind of these lines are there to kind of demonstrate a precision, and they mirror them, that precision is mirrored in the logo. If it's more of an organic logo and you want these shapes to be more organic and feel less precise, that's cool. I just wouldn't use the guidelines to demonstrate precision in something that's more hand-drawn. Does that make sense? Okay, let's keep going. Got a nice, nice palette. That's a good choice for the Aki color. There, a little yellow on top. Yeah, so what I would do personally, even if it's kind of more hand-drawn, is I don't know if this will work. Maybe it will. I want to try it because it's a cool feature. There's a few curves in here that I just personally I would probably smooth out. Like I get what you're going for with the hand-drawn aesthetic, but little kinks like this that I think there's so much smoothness in all these different parts, and it's really nice. And then when there's like a bit more of a kink, like a more sort of a harder edge, it kind of does stand out a bit. So I wonder if we could use smooth. This logo, I feel like this is perfect for it. I don't want to do it too aggressively because it will mess up the form of the logo. Maybe just a couple of these, because you can actually smooth individual anchor points as well. There you go. So you see that right edge? I'm just kind of smoothing out that kink. So if I just show you the before and the after. Very, very similar. You can see it's kind of messed it up there. So you've got to be careful with this. I would probably focus with the individual anchor points, but it's just smoothed out that kink there and the kink at the bottom here. Yeah, the smooth feature is kind of one of those things that doesn't always work, but sometimes it can be quite useful. That's what I would do personally, is just kind of smooth out some of those kinks. But let's keep going. Okay, reversed out, so it can work in one color. That's good. Oh, that's nice. I like that. I love the colors here in the main logo. I'm not as crazy about the container. I think the sort of the shape here, I feel like because it is so sort of handcrafted, I feel like a more organic shape or like a brush stroke or something more organic would suit that better as a container of the text, just because everything else is so sort of organic and handcrafted. But focusing just on the logo more, like I really do like that. I think just smoothing out some of those kinks. The colors look nice as well. Nice little accent color, yellow to pop, and a slightly off-white background. Yeah, it looks nice. I like it. Again, reversed out. Really cool palette again. And got a mock-up. Another mock-up. I think the bowl mock-up, you might need to just warp that in Photoshop a little bit. Edit, transform and warp, and you could just pull it down a little bit, just so it matches the contours of the bowl. So obviously you see the bowl here, the contours, they kind of dip down a little bit. Whereas if everything's just perfectly flat, what you want to do is just use warp to just, whoa. My hand's not very steady today. Just bend it down. That's a bit too much, but bend it down just so it kind of follows the contours of the bowl. Okay, nice. Cardápio. Is that menu? My Portuguese is a bit rusty. Nice. That's a really nice treatment there. Yeah, the color palette's brilliant. I love the color palette. Yeah. Really cool. Cool. Nice mock-up. Colors work really well. That yellow just pops. Love it. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Oberdin, is this a real project? Is this a real company and everything, or is this kind of like a fictional practice project? Either way, whatever it is, I could see that being like a real thing. Like I want one of these right now. I want the banana one. That looks amazing. That actually looks amazing. But there's just something about that design and the logo specifically that makes it feel real. Nice. Good way to present the logo if you were. You can use solid colors, but sometimes it's quite nice to have a close-up macro shot in the background. You know, a lot of areas are out of focus, so the logo does stand out, and you just bring a bit of texture of the product through. Cool, and that's everything. Cool. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful, just kind of going through and just sharing my thoughts. I think the thing I love about that most is the color palette and the logo itself. If it was me, I would just I would sort of make some tweaks to the shape. I feel like this version's much smoother, actually. I feel like there's a few different versions throughout. I think like this one here, that there, I kind of had some feedback on about the curves and the smoothness. I feel like this one is more refined. So I don't know, maybe I missed the sort of process there. This one feels a lot more refined, and which looks cool. The only another thing I just noticed that I would probably keep consistent is if you're going to kind of curve corners here, you know, have a slight corner radius. This one feels like a bit hard, so I'd probably try and keep the corner radius consistent. So if you're going curves, keep the curves kind of going throughout the design. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Oh, right. Well, we've been going for 2 hours now. I'm going to go and have some dinner. Yeah. So thank you to everyone for joining the stream. Hopefully this was helpful. I had a ton of fun as always. I love doing these, and yeah, we will do one again. Just before I go, if anyone would like to check out my Adobe Illustrator masterclass, there is the link to the course, and it will teach you everything I know about Illustrator from start to finish. So if you know Photoshop, Illustrator's always put you off. Don't worry, this will teach you everything I know over about sort of 6 hours, give or take. And yeah, if you have any questions about design or you get stuck, then there's a community. You can direct message me. I'm basically on hand if you ever have any questions about design or anything. And yeah, it took me a long time to make, so I'm very proud that it's out there now. But yeah, that is the masterclass. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining the stream. Have a fantastic week, and I will catch you in the next one. See you later.